Media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Apparently, we're having some audio issues yet again. So let's, can you hear me now? All right. Let's try this again. So I asked everybody, all right. I thought somebody in the chat said the sound was good. Apparently it wasn't. Oh, come on. All right. How about now? Anyone? All right. Let's try and get this going again. As you already saw, I'm not going to put the picture back up. As you already saw, I put up an end of watch tribute to a good friend of mine by the name of Captain Anthony DeFrancisco. I asked everybody to pray for him a couple of weeks ago. He was battling cancer. He recently lost that battle. He was a great friend. I grew up with him, known him since I was 14, freshman in high school. We've been friends ever since. We grew up together. We worked together. We fought together, and I'm going to miss him. He was loved by many, and I knew he made an impact. I didn't realize to what extent till I saw a news story announcing his passing, and just seeing all the outpouring of love for him from everyone on social media. He made an impact, and he's going to be missed. I'm going to miss him. So I just wanted to let everyone know that is what happened. He lost his battle. He fought courageously. My heart goes out to his family, his wife, his daughters, his son. It's going to leave a hole. But we will go on and continue the march and honor him that way. All right. Now that is behind us, let's get into it. Welcome to the Mission Ready Men briefing, right here on the SHR Media Network, where faith in God sets the standard and masculinity is not toxic. Today is Tuesday, August 25th, the year of our Lord 2026. And we have a ton of stuff to get into. And despite the delays and the audio issues at the beginning, despite that, we are probably going to go a little longer because I am not going to be doing a show on Thursday because I'm going to be traveling for Tony's services. So this is going to be it for this week, and I will be back with you a week from today. But we got a ton of stuff to get into, and we're going to try and get into all of it. But before we do, please hit like, subscribe, share, all the algorithm stuff. Help us to overcome the chokehold that the big tech tyrants have us in, and help us to reach as many people as we possibly can. And we're also over on, we have an individual channel, Mission Ready Men Briefing channel on YouTube. So you can check us out over there. We would really appreciate that as well. All right, so we got a big show. We got crazy leftist women. We got crazy Muslims. We got crazy leftists. We have all kinds of stuff to get into. We have crazy WNBA. So let's go ahead and get after it. So to start off, we have one mother who killed her 3 children and has now over $1 million in a GoFundMe for her and her family. Another woman, another mother, walked through fire, went back inside a burning house 6 times to get her 6 children. Ended up with burns over 93% of her body. Somehow we made a hero of, not we, somehow some crazy people made a hero of the first one, and nobody knows who the second one is. The first one, when she woke up in the hospital, she asked about her legs. The other one, when she woke up much later, asked if her children were okay. Yet somehow the first one is the one that some of these crazy lunatics are lionizing. So I'm not gonna relitigate or litigate all of the details of the Lindsay Clancy case. I'm gonna recap some of it, and then we're gonna get into what I really want to talk about. But as I'm sure you all know, she set up the murder of her 3 children. She took one of her children to the doctor, came back, built a snowman, did snow angels, texted the grandparents a bunch of cute pictures, ordered takeout, checked for some medication for her children, and then proceeded to strangle her kids. She allegedly, I say allegedly, and I'll explain why I say that here in a minute, allegedly had mental health issues, postpartum depression, anxiety, was on a cocktail of medication, was doctor shopping for different medications, was in a mental hospital for a few days. The favorite talking point of the defense and the people who are is that she had this psychosis and was over medicated. And now there's been testimony that she hasn't actually really been taking her medication, that she barely had therapeutic levels of this medication in her system when this happened. And then there's the notion, the evidence that she was operating under this psychosis and this over medication, but still managed to meticulously plan this horrific crime. When she took her kid to the doctor, everyone said she seemed fine. She was playing. Then she hit up Google and checked to see how long it would take to get to a restaurant that they rarely ate at. Texted her husband to go run these errands, to go to CVS and get the medication and go to the restaurant and pick up the takeout. We're supposed to believe that this was some spontaneous psychosis or a psychotic break. But she did everything she could to make sure that her husband was out of the house for as long as possible while she did this. Now her husband comes home, finds blood, sees his wife laying on the ground, asks where the children are. The wife tells him, goes in there and finds all 3 of them strangled. She admitted what she did. And there's still these crazy lunatics who are doing everything they can to cast blame on the husband, to say she's not guilty, she didn't do it, say that the husband did it, whether they blame him for lack of support or actually he did it. There's one woman who says that he was sexually abusing one of the children, and the doctors and the police and the prosecutors are all in on it. So These people are absolute lunatics. And I want to get into that a little bit, because to me, that's where the story is. I mean, obviously, 3 children are dead. That is the story. She confessed to the crime. So everything else with regard to that is just window dressing. And so leaving that aside, which is the absolute main story, the next one has to do with these psychotic women who are elevating this woman to hero status. And this was the visual in the courtroom one day. And I just want you to look at this. Look at this one right here. All of them. And this, and just, now this one in the green, who's got this demonic look on her face, apparently she actually grew up with Lindsay, the monster. And so for whatever reason, she thinks this is an appropriate time during the trial for the murder of 3 young babies, that this is the time to mug for the camera. Unbelievable. But it gets worse, because, and as I was going through this and prepping for the show, and I would hear about these women and find these videos of these people who are making excuses and talking about how she's not guilty and all this other stuff, and how the husband obviously did it. Every time I thought I saw the worst one, I was mistaken. I could spend the next hour just playing clips from all of these different TikTok videos. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. This one was actually pretty funny, because this dude, this British dude, was not having it. He was not having it from this chick. And I thought this was, he handled it exactly right. So let's check this out.
They should be commended because they did.
I've had it with you.
Oh my God!
And
they should be commended. They didn't kill their children. She's a murderer. These women are cheering. These are man-hating women that are standing outside. This is what it's about. They think the husband did it. They're crazy. They've lost their mind.
Do you know why they're
waving for a murderer?
And of course, he's 100% correct. But it gets better.
Do you know why the woman is in a wheelchair? Did you even notice that she's
couldn't care less. She's a murderer.
Exactly. Could not care less. Because, as he said, she's a murderer. Killed her own kids, 3 of her own children. Why she's in a wheelchair, to me, is absolutely irrelevant.
Because she jumped out the window after this happened.
So she should have. I'd have pushed her. They say that Lindsay was in psychosis. I think these women are suffering from psychosis. They've been watching too many true crime Netflix dramas. You know, this was an incredibly privileged woman, incredibly wealthy. She had a nanny, and she's still complaining that she needed help. She could not have got more help from the system that she already have received.
And that's another thing that gets lost, because her husband was well off. She was visiting country clubs and had a nanny. She had, I question whether or not she even really had postpartum depression or psychosis, honestly. I just think she's a lunatic. And before anyone comes at me, I know that it is real. I know that there are women who do suffer greatly from postpartum depression, and they deserve all of the treatment and sympathy that we can give them. All of the prayers, all of the sympathy, whatever they need, they deserve. Absolutely. I just don't think this woman qualifies, because all the evidence suggests that she meticulously planned this horrific crime. But yet we still have these absolute monsters who are supporting this woman. This is another one. This is another one that's just absolute lunacy. This woman needs this baby taken away. Absolutely. If you are supporting Lindsay Clancy, if you are going to rallies in support of this woman and you have children, I sincerely hope that you get a visit from CPS or DCFS or whatever your child services is in your area, because this is madness. Absolute madness. This is another one.
We are hearing her. We know one of my sister-in-laws. It could be one of my best friends, and it could be me. So just here to support.
It could be, if it could be you, these people are insane.
We are hearing her. We see that she tried everything. And I really do believe that she went into a state.
She tried everything, and the last resort, the best she could come up with, was killing her children. Do you realize how insane you sound? Well, no, of course not. They don't realize how insane they sound.
Of psychosis.
It felt like the system failed her. She was begging for help and no one was there. I don't know if us being here will make her feel any better, but I mean, she's living in hell right now.
You know, one of my sister.
She's not in hell yet, but if she doesn't repent, that's where she's going. Just insane. Just absolutely insane. This is one I talked about before. Well, here's another one that's just, if the fathers are around seeing this, they need to get these kids away from these lunatics as soon as they possibly can. Like immediately. Look at this.
What you doing with that?
What are you proving with this? That you can torture your baby? But this is the one that I was talking about before, where she, and I have so many more. I'm not gonna get into the rest of them because it's obvious at this point. It's obvious at this point, but let's just listen to this one last one.
Hypothetical scenario. A man is abusing his 5-year-old daughter. He is part of a pedophile ring. Other members of this ring include his best friend, the ADA, chief of police, possibly some.
Meanwhile, there is absolutely zero evidence to suggest any of this. Because if there was even a hint of anything like this, don't you think her defense team would be bringing it up? They're not contending the fact that she did it. She confessed. The only thing they're contending is whether or not she was in her right mind when she did it. That's it. But yet these absolute, and look at the eyes. It's always, it is always in the eyes. You can always tell how crazy these people are.
Doctors, nurses. And now let's say that the mother finds out. Let's say she takes her daughter to the doctor to get some digestion.
Okay, so let's play this out. The mother finds out that the father is abusing the daughter. And her solution is to kill the daughter and her two siblings. That apparently makes all the sense in the world to this absolute demonic lunatic. And she's not alone. I mean, this is just one of hundreds. This is not a small percentage of crazies. You saw some of the videos I played already. There are hundreds of women rallying around this woman. It could be me. And fellas, if your wife or your girlfriend or the mother of your children is expressing this kind of lunacy, get your kids away from them as soon as possible. And you may end up breaking the law in doing so. Doesn't matter. Because the safety of your children is at stake. There was a story of a guy who called off a wedding because his fiance expressed this kind of madness. And in the text message, he said, I fear for the safety of my future children, and I'm not having it. Good for him. Good for him. He's better off. There was okay, so there is one more I want to play, because this just encapsulates the whole thing.
He got rid of all of their stuff. She doesn't have anything. You guys, I can't.
This woman is crying because the father of the murdered children got rid of blankets and stuffed animals that belonged to the children. And I don't believe that he got rid of it. I just think he's not giving her access to it. She's crying. This absolute crazed, demonic lunatic is crying because the murderer doesn't have the possessions of the children that she murdered. She's not crying because the kids are killed. No, she's crying because she doesn't have anything of theirs to hold on to. Well, she gave up that right when she strangled them. What is wrong with these people? Well, we know what's wrong with them, but it's just, like I said, I could go on, but I think you get the idea. These people, and there are some beta males in here who are supporting them, supporting her just the same. We have so lost the plot, and I get that there are a lot of us who are not falling for this, but this is not an insignificant section of the population that is feeling this way. And there are some people who actually believe that she could get off, that she could end up in a mental institution and eligible to be released in the next 5 to 10 years. So there is a jury of 12 women. Well, there's a jury pool of 18. I'm not sure what the distribution is between men and women of the 12 we're going to deliberate, and then there's 6 alternates. But of the 18, 12 of them are women. And considering that this is Massachusetts, considering how many women are actually supporting Clancy, it should be a slam dunk, but I don't know. I'd like to think that justice will prevail, but as I said, this is Massachusetts. Again, this is not me minimizing postpartum depression or anything like that. I understand it's real. I understand women suffer from it greatly, but most of them don't murder their children. And then you have the woman who said she was inspired by Lindsay Clancy and basically followed her script and then slashed the throats of her three children. That says a lot about the society in which we live, the heroes that some of these people elevate. And like I said, almost nobody knows the name of Emma Schols, who in 2025 ran through fire to save her 6 children. Went back in the house 6 times to get her children to safety. Put herself between the flames and her children. And I read that the GoFundMe that was started for her raised $46,000. Meanwhile, Lindsay Clancy's family is set to get over $1 million. Now it ramped up quick, and then it stalled out at over $1 million. I fully expected it to be at 2 at this point. I am thankful that it's not. And the family, if they actually accept this money, they're not all that different from Lindsay as far as I'm concerned. They're profiting from the murder of their grandchildren, and that's demonic too. Honorable people who don't want, who aren't in support of the murder of their daughter, the murder of their grandchildren would wash their hands of that money and say, give it back. So we'll see where that goes. All right, I could spend the next hour on that and all the different aspects of that case, and I'm not. We're gonna move on, and we're gonna come back and talk about something that we talk about quite often on this show, the Islamification of America. And it's happening in a red state and not the red state that we usually talk about. So we're going to get into that right after a word from our sponsor for today's show. And today's show is sponsored by Carry Girl Gear. So fellas, if you're going to buy her something, make sure it's something that she will actually use. Go to carrygirl.com and check out all of the great design, quality gear, and stuff that actually fits her lifestyle. Not just a throwaway gift that will end up in a drawer. It's shorts, shirts, drinkware, accessories. It's all there for you to check out. And if you're not sure what her style might actually be, just get yourself a gift card. Get a gift card, let her pick out a gear that she wants, and she'll be happy. You'll look like a winner, and everybody wins. So upgrade her gear and go to carrygirl.com today. All right, let's get into this Islamic takeover nonsense, because it's happening. They are desperately trying, and we've talked about this state before, but we're usually talking about what's happening in Texas and Florida, but we have talked about Arkansas before, and apparently in Arkansas there is a movement afoot to purchase an 88,000 square foot former Schols location, the department store, the store Schols. They're trying to buy it for $7.1 million so that they can, according to the woman who's spearheading this, Sophia Said, so that they don't have to lay low anymore. There hasn't been a fundraiser. There hasn't been a ribbon cutting announcement or anything like that. But according to an investigation by the Rare Foundation, and if you're not familiar with the Rare Foundation, check out rarefoundation.com or head over to X and check out Amy Meck. And she is the founder of the Rare Foundation. And she has been doing some excellent work in exposing all of this nonsense. And they did an investigation and uncovered this movement to purchase this former Schols location, an 88,000 square foot building with tons of parking and room for all kinds of expansion if they so choose. This is the perfect kind of location if your long-term plan is less neighborhood mosque and more regional barracks. We've talked about the famous poem that says every mosque is a barracks, the domes are helmets, the minarets are bayonets, and the faithful are soldiers. So this is what's coming to Arkansas, one of the reddest of the red states. And this is, I don't understand how stuff like this happens. I really don't. Sophia Said, the one who's spearheading this, is the founder and chairman of the board of the Medina Institute. The Medina Institute is a Muslim organization in the state of Arkansas that is dedicated to obviously advancing Islam. And because she's a woman is spearheading this, they're coming at it from the interfaith side. So they're trying to hoodwink Christians and Catholics and Hindus and other religions to try and buy into the whole interfaith live and let live coexistence paradigm that anyone who pays attention knows is complete and utter nonsense, because they don't believe in that. I don't know how many times I have to play these videos of these imams and these Islamic scholars telling us they're not here to get along. They're not here to play nice. They're not here to coexist. They're here to dominate and elevate Islam above every religion and subjugate the rest of them. But people who aren't paying attention buy into this stuff, and then by the time they realize, it's too late. And they're paying a jizya, or they've been hoodwinked into converting to Islam, like this guy. Yeah, this guy. Sorry. This guy publicly converted to Islam.
Your name? Khan. Okay, alhamdulillah. So, how have you heard about Islam, and what is the reason you're taking Shahada?
Just doing research. I just feel like it's in my heart. It's the brotherhood, everything. I just want to go part of it.
Alhamdulillah. Welcome to the family, brother. Alhamdulillah. So,
that is Little Rock police officer who, and I'm not going to play the whole thing because he goes through the whole ritual of converting to Islam. They are relentless. They are absolutely relentless in pursuing their goal of dominating and subjugating everyone who's not a Muslim. This movement, they're pushing this interfaith cooperation stuff, and they're trying to they're trying to get these church partnerships and all this stuff to try and paint this picture that they're not trying to dominate. And the problem is they're getting these churches, these so-called churches, to buy into this stuff. But one of the main ones that she's partnering with, the leaders of the church, are two married dudes, two so-called married dudes, two guys who, whatever they're leading, it's not a church, because what they're doing goes against everything that the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that homosexuality is wrong. And these two guys leading this church, it's not a church. But because it says church in the name and all this other stuff, and they purport to be clergy of some kind, they're lending legitimacy to this Medina Institute. And these universalist type churches, they open their pulpits and they allow Muslims to speak to them and deliver messages from their pulpits to push this peaceful coexistence paradigm. And anytime someone brings up the doctrinal red flags like homosexuality, like Jesus Christ is Lord, anytime anyone says anything like that, that's considered bigotry. That's considered Islamophobia. One pastor who's been involved with the Medina Institute says that the dangerous people are the ones who are convinced that they're doing God's will when they're not. Well, I say to him, look in the mirror. Because the Bible says that we cannot have fellowship with people who basically believe the exact opposite of what we believe. We can love them, we can speak the truth to them in love, but you can't have a fellowship like that with those groups. There has to be a separation there. Unless you're going to preach the gospel to them and invite them to convert, that's where it has to end. It can't be this cooperation, because that, and of course, when you say that, well, then you're being Islamophobic. You're being bigoted. Doesn't work that way. Now, Arkansas is not Dearborn, thank God, yet. But this 88,000 square foot facility that they're trying to push through, that's a mega facility that can pave the way for all kinds of Dearborn-like activity. And of course, the people who are involved in zoning and planning and approving this stuff, they just shrug and say, nothing to see here, freedom of religion. And then there's the question of where's the money coming from? The money is well hidden, which tells me that it's definitely Muslim Brotherhood. It's definitely Muslim Brotherhood, one of those other, maybe some Qatari money. And of course, we won't find out where it all came from until everything is approved and said and done. And at that point, it'll be too late. So I need y'all to be praying that this falls through, because we can't. Texas is leaning and about to fall. Florida is leaning and about to fall. We can't have Arkansas fall. We just can't. Because Texas is almost, I think at this point, without divine intervention from our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Texas is done. And so y'all need to be praying for that too. But we gotta stop this absolute attempted takeover, because that's what they're doing. And they tell us every chance they get. Just go back and look at some of my videos where I play so many of these videos of these imams telling us Islam will be in every home, telling us they're not here to coexist, telling us they're here to take over, telling us we will submit. They tell us every chance they get, and for some reason, people just don't want to listen. I don't get it. When people tell you who they are, believe them. And I don't understand why people don't. I don't get it. And I don't want to hear this freedom of religion nonsense, because we used to have laws that stopped cults. Islam is a death cult. We need to bring some of those laws back. And Muslims who were not born here need to be deported. Period. End of story. Call me a bigot, call me an Islamophobe, call me whatever you want. But I will stand on that. So Arkansas voters, get on it. Start calling, start praying, because this simply cannot stand. All right, let's get going here, because I want to talk about this. I want to get into this because I can't believe how much I'm talking about the WNBA. I cannot believe how much I'm talking about the WNBA. It's crazy, and it's not because of the stellar basketball play that is on the court. You have a handful of people, a handful of women who can actually play, and then you have a bunch of psycho thugs who want to punch people in the throat and all this other. It's really it's more drama than anything else. But I mean, I guess that's to be expected. But I want to talk about this because we talked about Enes Kanter Freedom, who who now identifies as a woman and has declared herself eligible for the WNBA draft. And he, or should I say she, I don't know. But he wore this shirt to a WNBA game. And it's just a definition: woman, noun, adult, human, female. I mean, I don't see anything offensive about that. I don't see anything incorrect about that. But apparently this triggered, what's her name? Natasha Cloud on the Chicago, whatever the name of the team is, I don't know. And apparently she lost her mind. And she went after him on the court and got him kicked out. Let's take a look at that real quick. If I can find it again. Yeah, here we go.
Six-point basketball game. Chicago staying in it. Natasha Cloud. And right before the break, this was the scene inside Wintrust.
Now, some people have said that he shouldn't have stepped up when she approached him. And I can see that. I can see that perspective. But here's the other thing. Well, there's two sides. You could say either A, equal rights. If you want to step to a dude, then you get what's coming. Or you could go from the other side and say, well, he is identifying as a woman, and and so all's fair. Of course, that's not the case. I don't think, even if she did manage to get to him and throw a punch, that he would have done anything like that. But it's just so ridiculous. But let's keep watching.
Arena, after Natasha Cloud got that bucket, she wanted her voice heard. We have talked.
after she got the bucket, why did she care what some guy is wearing in the stands? I mean, what difference does it make? She wanted her viral moment. She wanted this to happen. She wanted to make this blow up. And she got what she wanted.
About the conversations surrounding the W. That is Enes Kanter in the building today. And he has voiced how he's felt about the situation. Natasha Cloud voicing her opinion as well. Kanter was just escorted out.
There's a longer version of the video where he actually gets escorted out. And the only reason he got escorted out, well, I shouldn't say the only reason. One of the reasons he got escorted out is because she's a lunatic and lost her mind and wanted him to get kicked out. So he did. And then, of course, the fact that he's wearing a shirt that defines what a woman is when the WNBA can't do it, I'm sure that got some people butthurt too. But it's insane to me. It's insane to me that A, they can't define what a woman is, even though he told them. And B, that people are getting kicked out of these games for pointing this out. You had the girls who got kicked out for wearing the XXXY shirts. And then you have him getting kicked out for wearing this adult human female shirt. Why are they so upset about pointing out the obvious? Why can't they acknowledge the obvious? They had that meeting where they talked about when he first declared, and they were talking about defining what a woman is. And they walked out of that hours-long meeting and still couldn't clarify it. And he did an interview with Laura Ingraham where he reiterated his identification as a woman. And then when asked if they changed, because he said, "I'm just playing by the rules. They don't define what a woman is, and if you can just say you're a woman, then he should be eligible to play." And he's not wrong. But then he said, if they change the rules, then of course he'll abide by those rules. But he's making a very legitimate point here. Him and Royce, I can't remember what his last name is, Royce White. They're making a legitimate point. It's reductio ad absurdum, yes. They're taking it to the most ridiculous level, but society has opened this up. They opened us up to this madness. When you have a Supreme Court justice who says, "I'm not a biologist, so I can't tell you what a woman is," but all she had to do was watch Kindergarten Cop. That kindergarten kid told us. And every kindergartner up until 5 minutes ago could tell us. But now all of a sudden we've lost our collective minds and can't define what a woman is. All right, let's it's just funny. It's just funny that we've devolved into this point. All right, let's move on, because I want to get into this too. This was I don't know if you know who Master P is. He was a rapper back in the day, businessman. And he said some things over the past few days that has gotten a lot of people riled up. And I want to play some of it, and then we'll get into it. Because he's not wrong.
Like us say, hey, how come we don't own our own tennis shoe? When Nike started out of their garage. Like Phil Knight started out of his garage. And I tell people all the time, look, it's not about a color. Like think about it, even though when I help black owned business, I'm doing that because we at the bottom of the totem pole. But we want to create product for everybody. This product is for everybody, blacks, white, Asian, Latino, but they don't have too many black-owned companies. Like, show me how many black-owned tennis shoe companies out there that's making functional shoes that actually own it.
Just like what Michael Jordan said back in the day, Republicans buy shoes too. But I want to get into, here we go.
You know, because they just don't get it. They're like, how you could do this. I mean, like, if I could do it, anybody could do it. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You just got to have integrity and do good business. And these doors will open up for you, building great relationships. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, trying to get that negative mindset out of our culture, because they still going back to, oh man, slavery, they did us this. And I'm like, you still harping on that, man. I never harped on that because I can't change the past, but I can change the future. And I think you got to get used to us being successful. And
that's something I've said, and a lot of people have said. Slavery was 160 years ago. There is not a black person alive right now who ever was a slave, and there is not a white person alive right now who owned any slaves. Not to mention, it was a tiny percentage of the population back then that did, but that's a whole other story that we can get into some other time. But of course, so many of the pro-black professional victim grievance merchants lost their minds. Absolutely lost their minds. And it's like, what did he say that was a lie? What did he say that was a lie? If you do business with integrity, if you build good relationships, if you do all the things that successful people do in business, you'll be successful too. People aren't going to forego making money because the person who brings them the idea is black. That's just not how business works. That's not how greed works. Honestly, if we're going to call it what it is, people want to make money. And if there's a good idea, and yes, I know people do some dirty things. People will steal ideas. And there may be people out there who harbor this kind of nonsense idea that they don't want to do business with black people. Yes, that does happen. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. But more often than not, greed is going to trump prejudice. Green is going to trump black. But like I said, the grievance merchants, they lost their minds, and Master P had to come out with a clarification type video. And I'm glad he didn't apologize, but he did come out with this. So let's take a look at this real quick.
What's up, y'all? For the ones in the back that can't hear, Stop making them false narratives. I love my people. When you talk about slavery, our ancestors been through so much, and we're not gonna forget it. You know what I'm saying? But what I want to tell y'all.
But that's what that's the narrative, like you said, a false narrative. That's the narrative that they're trying to push. They tried to push that we're trying to erase slavery and take it out of the history books and all that stuff, and it's just not true. But let's continue.
Oh yeah, even though we're gonna always be aware of it, but we have to do something to bridge the wealth gap. That's what I'm saying. We can't change the past, but we can change the future, and we're gonna constantly fight and educate our people. But I want to let y'all know, Apple is making $32 million an hour. How do we get a piece of that? Because we need to be able to bridge the wealth gap. That's the only thing I'm saying, and that's the only way it's gonna happen. We got to educate our people and educate our culture, and that's what I'm doing. What's up, y'all?
Again, where's the lie? Did he lie? And of course he didn't. He 100% told the truth. And I don't spend a whole lot of time usually on the race stuff, but this is one of those stories that I think was really important, because maybe someone like him saying this might get some people to start thinking differently. I doubt it. I think it's going to take a lot more than just him to say stuff like this, and to try and get people to move beyond this victim mentality that has so many people enthralled, because it's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. All right. There's a couple of more things I want to get to. And let's see. Which one do we want to do next? Since we're on the race thing, let's talk about Carmelo Anthony, because just like with the Lindsay Clancy case, some things came to light. He was recently denied a new trial. They tried to get him a new trial based on reasons, but they tried to get him a new trial, and we all know he stabbed Austin Metcalf last year at a track meet, and James Tallarico actually said something that was just, it shouldn't surprise anybody that he would say something like this, because he's been saying all kinds of ridiculous stuff over the past, well, since he really hit the scene, he's been spouting off a bunch of nonsense. And well, I thought I had it, but let's we'll pull it up here in a minute. But he was on the Breakfast Club, and he was talking to Charlemagne, and I don't call him by the name that he likes to go by, because he's not one. But here we go. Let's listen to this, and then we'll get into it.
Of Texas, we see what happened with Carmelo Anthony, and you said it was a tragedy.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I've done a lot of work in the State House on justice reform, and right now we've got a system that doesn't serve all Americans equally, and we know that Black Texans have been have not gotten the justice they deserve.
Well, let me tell you something. Austin Metcalf didn't get the justice he deserved, and Carmelo Anthony didn't get the justice he deserved, especially after everything that came out in advance of the petition for a new trial. But let's continue.
Cases, and I'm not an expert on this particular case, but I know that there were no black members of the jury, and to me, that's the only evidence.
You know why there were no black members of the jury? Because every single one of them that they tried to impanel said that they could not be objective. Every single one of them. Every single one of them said they would vote to acquit. That's why there were no black jurors. But of course, he either doesn't know or he just conveniently left that out.
You need to really prove that this system is not working for black Texans.
Of Texas, we see what happened with Carmelo.
The system is not working for black Texans. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? He is pandering to a level that is I've rarely seen. I can't recall somebody pandering to this level in a long time. I'm sure it's happened, and I'm sure there's been some that have been just as bad or worse. None of it comes to mind, unfortunately. So that tells me that it's been he's right up there, because I've been paying attention to this stuff for a while. Now, they tried to, in their efforts to get a new trial, which failed, thankfully, but in their efforts to get a new trial, they tried to rehabilitate Carmelo Anthony's image by smearing Austin Metcalf. And I guess there's evidence that they spray painted some graffiti that said KKK, kill all blacks, and hail Hitler, and some other stuff. Even if you stipulate that's true, even if you stipulate that's true, which I don't, but let's just say for argument's sake that it happened, that does not give Carmelo Anthony the right to kill him. There was no fight. There was no altercation. He just walked into a tent he wasn't supposed to be in and stabbed him. And then, in light of with all of this stuff coming out, in their attempts to try and smear Austin Metcalf, we find out that not only does Carmelo Anthony have a history of behavioral issues, he fantasized about stabbing people. He fantasized about licking the blood off the blade after he stabbed someone. He was stalking his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. Texted her and said he was low-key on the verge, which they all knew to mean he was on the verge of snapping and doing something horrific, which he did. He was institutionalized for behavioral issues, his inability to keep his hands off kids at, I believe, the age of 10. And when you look at all of that, and then you look at the way his parents behaved, I kind of think they wanted to get rid of him. I think they saw the money and said, okay, because they knew. And so they saw the opportunity to make some money and get him out of their hair. Now, of course, I don't have any evidence of that. I'm just speculating. based on what we saw. What other explanation could there be, honestly, when you look at the way his parents behaved during that whole thing, buying all kinds of luxury vehicles and buying everything, and then hiring a cheap defense attorney. If they really believed he was innocent and they really wanted him home, they would have spent every dime of that GoFundMe on his defense, but they didn't. I don't think it would have made a difference, honestly. But they hired a cheap attorney, and now he's out of their hair for 35 plus years, hopefully. With all of this stuff coming to light, maybe he will do that entire 35. There is a chance that he could get out in 17, but that's a whole other issue. All right, let's we talked about James O'Keefe a while back, and he's at it again. Because James O'Keefe, we talked about how he exposed the lack of stringent ID requirements when it came to elections in Minnesota. And he went up to Alaska and did the same thing. He went up to Alaska and did the same thing. Now, this was funny because what he did was he went up to Alaska and tried to vote in the name of Lisa Murkowski's brother. And Lisa Murkowski, she is the senator from Alaska. And apparently she was not happy because it is on video. So let's take a look at this. This was absolutely hilarious.
I'm about to get offered Senator Lisa Murkowski's brother's ballot. The last name is Murkowski. I think I left my wallet in the vehicle. Would it be possible to vote without it today?
Absolutely possible.
Oh, good. I said I can vote. Brian Murkowski can vote. She's like, yes, you can vote.
You can vote if you'd like. Do you want to do a question ballot?
I mean, all I got to do is do the question ballot, then I can vote.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Brian Murkowski, Senator Murkowski's brother, doesn't even live in Alaska, but his name is still on the voter rolls.
Do you know how to spell Brian?
B-R-I-A-N.
Yeah,
that's the address.
In the correct place.
Oh, perfect.
You have a mugshot.
Oh, I think I left that at home. Blood?
DNA.
I got blood. Yeah.
You got blood. You want to leave your blood?
You're Caroline. Carolyn. Carolyn's a funny one, by the way.
Wow. He doesn't even live in Alaska, is on the voter rolls, and they almost allowed him to vote. Not almost. They did allow O'Keefe to vote. He didn't. He didn't vote, but it's just another in a long line of instances where people anyone can vote. And no matter how much they tell you that it's not true, that illegal aliens can't vote, whatever, obviously they can. Obviously they can. And I remember years ago, this was on my old show, the Liberty Cast, and Gina Carano, she had just gotten fired from Star Wars, and she was talking about some conservative things. And she told a story about how when she went to go vote in Los Angeles, they told her she didn't need an ID. This was back then. This was, like I said, 5 or 6 years ago. And yet we're supposed to believe that our elections are the most secure and election security is the tightest that it's ever been. Well, that's obviously not the case. And James O'Keefe just proved it. And Lisa Murkowski, she's one of the people who is against the Save America Act. And apparently she is not happy with Mr. O'Keefe. And she's threatening, or she's looking into potentially, she's investigating him in the hopes of being able to charge him with something. I don't know what it could be, because everything he did was documented. He didn't cast a ballot. So she's just butthurt that she got caught. And that the notion that the voter rolls don't need to be cleaned up, that everything is hunky-dory, is just utter nonsense. He hasn't lived in Alaska in years. His current address is in Texas. And and who's to say that somebody hasn't voted in his name in Alaska? Who's to say that he hasn't voted in Texas and Alaska? It is absolutely insane that this is where we're at. And anyone who says that this is a problem is labeled a crazy person. Who knows? We're conspiracy theorists because we believe that the vote should be that the election should be secured. We believe that they're not. And then when we provide evidence that they're not, then like I said, we're conspiracy theorists. Everything about the left is completely incoherent. You can't have it both ways. We just had in New Jersey, they found 6,600 illegal aliens on the voter rolls, 400 of whom cast a ballot. But it's a conspiracy theory. And when you extrapolate that across all 50 states, and we've talked multiple times about how there have been elections decided by reaching into a bowl and picking out a name. There have been elections decided by less than 10 votes, 20, less than 100. It doesn't take much. But they don't want to do anything about it. I wonder why that is. All right. Before we get you out of here, I wanted to talk about this because it's not just here where we're dealing with illegal alien invaders, Muslims who want to rape and pillage. It's happening over in the UK too. And it's been happening over there for a long time. Because recently the Home Office published a pamphlet that was issued as guidance to what they call asylum seekers. I call illegal aliens. But this pamphlet, these posters, are meant to explain that rape is illegal and that child abuse is illegal and the age of consent is what it is over there, and domestic abuse is illegal. This is insane. Like, rational, reasonable people don't need this explained. But yet here we are in the UK where they do. And the thing is, this is not the first time. When I first heard it, I was like, is this like a resurfacing of an old story? But no, it's happening again. But it happened back in 2015, 2016 in Norway. They issued this guidance, these pamphlets, to their so-called refugees, explaining consent and explaining how to interpret women's clothing, and that just because a woman wears a short skirt doesn't mean that she's there for your taking. Gender equality and domestic violence. In Germany, same year, 2015, 2016, gave out these pamphlets talking about the rules of against groping and sexual harassment and consent, again, because apparently there's been a spate of rapes in these countries at that time. Denmark and Finland, 2016, same thing. They went so far as to offer courses on Danish and Finnish values and sexual mores. They offered courses on how to behave towards women. And so when I heard this time, I was like, what? We're still doing this? This is still a thing? And of course, it is. Let's look at this one. Child abuse is a serious crime in the UK. And this has to be explained. You must never physically hurt a child, shout at or threaten a child, have sex or sexual contact with a child under 16, cut or harm a girl's genitals, known as female genital mutilation. This has to be, they have to put this in a pamphlet on a poster to explain this to these people. Because I guess it didn't work the first time they did it. Here's this one. The legal age of consent in the UK is 16. Again, sex with anyone under the age of 16 is a serious crime. Even if they look older or it's allowed in your country, you mustn't, I mean, like I said, reasonable, rational people don't need this explained to them. And yeah, I will say 16 is a bit young. 16 is a bit young. I will say that. But regardless, it's amazing to me that we're here, and that we actually have to print this material and hand it out. Let me just say this. If you have to print this out and hand it out to people who are invading your country, then you need to stop these people and turn them around at the border. They shouldn't be in your country. Period. End of story. And the fact that that has to be articulated is insane to me. Absolutely insane to me. Domestic abuse is illegal. It is illegal to hurt, threaten, or control your partner or family. This includes hitting, pushing, or any physical violence. And this one down here, honor-based violence or abuse. They're talking about, obviously, honor killings. It's beyond me that they have allowed it to reach this pitch. And it's not just the UK. Like I talked about Norway and Denmark and Finland and Germany and all the rest of it. Here's this one. We're going to end on this one. In the UK, both people must say yes to sex. This is called consent. If you have sex with someone who does not want to, this is called rape. And then they talk about married, changing the mind. Again, that this has to be explained to anyone who is an adult is astonishing to me. And if it has to be explained to people who are entering your country, then you should not allow them in your country. But instead, the Home Office over there is spending money printing this stuff out and handing it like they're going to read it. Come on. They don't care about this. Because they know if they get caught, if they get arrested for doing any of this, there is a very strong likelihood that nothing is going to happen to them. Because nothing has happened to them. They've been doing it for so long and getting away with it. I'd love to see how many of these end up in the trash. If they enforced any of this stuff, we would not have seen the rape gangs active for 20 years. And probably still active. But here we are. All right. I am a little bit over time. And it was, I did want to mention one other thing. I didn't talk about it in the beginning of the show. I wanted to mention before we go, the passing of Dolly Parton. I don't get, so celebrity deaths aren't that impactful to me. But this one was. Because obviously it hit right after my dear friend passed away, and Dolly Parton apparently also had a brief battle with cancer before she passed on. but Dolly Parton has been a fixture in Hollywood and music and in entertainment for as long as I can remember. And I can't remember a single scandal. I can't remember a single incident where she was in trouble for anything. She's just always been a wholesome, talented singer and actress. Always made you feel good when you listen to her music or watch her movies. And so this one is a loss. This one is a loss. And like I said, it hit me a little bit harder this week, but wow. She is going to be missed. She is going to be missed. Tony's going to be missed. And I am going to miss you all on Thursday because I will not be doing a show then, but that's going to do it for us here tonight. I am Big E, and you've been watching or listening to the Mission Ready Men briefing right here on the SHR Media Network, where you can catch BZ in about 20 minutes from now. BZ will be doing another banger of a show tonight, and I'm looking forward to watching that, and you should too. The other hosts that we have on the network have been on a bit of a break, and I'm not entirely sure when they will be back, but once we find out, you will find out, and you should be sure to check them out when they return. But BZ, he is on every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, and the saloon is open tonight, the Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Like I said, it will be on in about 20 minutes from now. So be sure to like and subscribe and check out his show and help us to reach as many people as we possibly can. But again, that's going to do it. We're not just here to fill airtime. We are here to equip Christian men and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and carry the banner of faith, freedom, and hope into the next generation. If anything that we said here tonight matters to you, don't just watch, but share it. Share it with another guy. Share it with everybody. Bring them all into the fight. And if you want to wear what you stand for, head over to missionreadymen.com. Click Shop 7 Armors and check out all the great designs we have there. I talk about bold faith, true grit, and unapologetic patriotism. And remember, and also while you're there, check out the SHR shop and check out all the gear we have for the guys here on the network. But that's going to do it. Remember, when seconds count. You know what, before I go, I do want to thank everyone who was in the chat. I didn't get a chance to do that. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to the moderators who held it down and kept everyone in check. I appreciate that. So thank you all for watching and listening. And remember, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.